Okay guys, so this is how you're going to connect two pinch pots together, any two pinch pots. You've got your two pinch pots, tools that you're going to need, fettling knife, needle tool, possibly modeling tool, boxwood modeler, scoring tool, and some water. First thing you're going to do is set them next to each other and figure out where it is that you're connecting. Draw lines using your needle tool where that connection is, because you can't just put these two pieces of pinch pots together and expect that they're just going to stay together. Okay, so you can kind of see my rough marks for scoring. Now I'm either going to use my needle tool to score that area up, and I'm just roughing up that surface, or use the scoring tool to rough up that surface. Both work fine. Notice I'm not going through it, I'm just scraping it. Also, always work on top of a paper towel. Once I get these wet, that is when that's going to come into play, because then I have the paper towel down and my pots aren't going to slip and slide all over the place like they're on a skating rink. So water, dip 2 fingers in, slip it up. Even though this is called slip and score, you do the scoring and then you do the slipping. The slip is like your glue. So now I'm going to squish it together. Not hard, just squishing that water. Now you can see they kind of hold a little bit more. It makes it so that it's tacky, but that's not our finished. We're going to set that to the side a little bit. Get a piece off of your ball of clay, because we need a coil. To make that coil, squeeze it out into a big, fat, ugly, crude coil. As much as you can and as far as you can. Then when you roll it, you're going to roll using your palms. So I'm only rolling within this area, my palm. I'm not using my knuckles, because your knuckles are really hard. They're going to create those dents. And as you can see, it's already started flattening it out, or rounding it out from the finger marks. Roll it out. You're going back and forth quickly and side to side quickly, because where your hand isn't, the table is working to keep it round. You're going to roll this out till it's about the thickness of your needle tool. So I can cut some of this off because I've got plenty. Also, if your clay is nice and pliable and plastic, you're going to find this easy. If it's not and it's dry, you're going to find it much more difficult. That's really when it starts fishtailing. Okay, so about the size of the needle tool or scoring tool. Both those handles are the same size. Okay. Now I bring my pinch pots back in. I'm going to score across this. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to use my boxwood modeler, supporting the sides. I'm going to smooth this area, because wherever I can make it so I don't have a dent where air can possibly get trapped, I want to do that. Now I'm going to score it, and with my coil, I want to cut off that ugly end where it's kind of dimpled in. Now I'm going to score my pinch pot, or excuse me, my coil. Go along, tapping it. I'm not chopping it in half, just really tight score lines. So I'm able to get the water into there. Okay, that might be pretty good. If you have coil that you didn't need, put it in a damp paper towel. Just coil it up onto a damp paper towel and save it for later so that you can use it again. Now I need to slip up here and slip my coil. Be sure not to have water sitting down in here. If you have water sitting in here, you need to be sure to get a paper towel and dry that out. Otherwise, it'll separate those particles and you'll get a crack in the bottom. Okay? So I need to put score to score. Okay, score to score. And now supporting my pinch spots, because if I don't and they open up, they're going to start to bend up. So supporting those pinch spots, I'm going to use my boxwood modeler and push 50-50. I'm not cutting it, I'm pushing it down into it. And then I'm going to pull half over to this side. And half, again, I need to be sure I'm supporting so that you don't deform your pinch spots. And half over to this side. Now, this should be completely smoothed up. It should not be all ugly looking like that with a coil. I'm not going to make you watch me smooth clay because it's kind of like watching grass grow. It's slow, but you need to do it. As you can see with this one, you can't see the coil right here. I shouldn't be able to see a coil in between there. Nobody wants to see a big fat coil in between that space. Okay, so as I go on, I'm going to flip my pinch spots. Now I'm going to flip them carefully because this is your project. You want to take time with it. Now in here, I cannot smooth this together, this divot together, because you want that divot to be there, but it means that you have to be sure you get that coil down into there. I've got a score down here. So I take my fettling knife and I just bop it back and forth. Slip it, and you can't necessarily get your fingers all the way down there, but you can get water down in there. Slip my coil a little bit more because it kind of dried on me. And now I'm going to push it along. And now I can cut off the excess because it meets up. Now when I push this along, I want to go in and push my 50-50 starting at the curved side. That way I'm pushing it in and I'm working out any air that could have gotten stuck. So I'm going to go along here, push my 50-50 down, and I'm rolling the boxwood modeler because it tends to stick to the clay otherwise. You can dip it in the water and that helps a little bit, but I don't like to have too much water. So rolling it, I think, is what works best. Now I'm going to go back, pull that 50-50. Half this way and half this way. Also, your clay needs to be nice, plastic, and pliable because otherwise you're not going to be able to move it easily and you're going to deform your pots. So you can see now it's still kind of thick through here. So I would go another time, pushing it down, making sure it's in there, and pull that again. We don't want to see the connection of the coil. It's going to be there as support, but it doesn't mean that people want to see what your connection is. Now this needs to be smoothed. Notice I'm not smoothing with this with water. I'm using my finger to smooth it all out and make it all nice. I may need to go in here with the boxwood so I can get that inside nice and smooth without just making it larger. And smoothing that out. Now you can see this little tail sticking out. Some of it needs to be cut off. And then we go do the 50-50 here. This area right next to here should also just look like 2 pinch pots together, not a big fat coil in between there. So that seam needs to be dealt with and cleaned up well. And then, as I talked about before, that part still needs to be cleaned up. I highly suggest before you start putting anything together, clean up your pinch pots completely. That way you have everything at least clean around here, and this is the only part you're cleaning. Spread the cleaning out and the smoothing out as you go, because it sucks to save it to the end. It's not fun. Now, this is how you have 2 pinch pots together. Now you can see they're stuck together. Don't do this with your project because you're going to keep yours. Mine's going to be smashed. Now, if you have anything similar to where if I'm working on putting this pinch pot on, I have a big space right here. If you have a time that happens, take a crumpled up piece of paper towel and put it underneath there so that you're supporting this pinch pot. You don't want it to be just drooping while you're making it, because that's going to weaken this seam and deform the shape of your project. So support it where you need to. Okay, smooth this all out really well so that this is all clean and separated. And notice, I'm not smoothing with water. Don't smooth with water. Your clay gets way too wet and you'll have problems of it cracking for that purpose and breaking. With that said, when you pack this up, you want damp paper towels on it, but you don't want them too damp. If you have them too wet, that's where water again will sit down in here and just break and crack your project apart. So good luck. Be sure to wrap them up with damp paper towel when you're finished. And if you have any questions, all the throwing students have made this project before and should be able to answer your questions. If they can't, be sure to sign up for seminar so that I can answer your questions when I get back on Wednesday. See you later. Have a good day.